Hey there, I'm Fox 13 meteorologist Nash Rhodes, and welcome to another edition of SkyTower Weather Now. We're going to talk about your local forecast as well as what's happening in other parts of the country. We have our first named storm of the hurricane season, but not in the Atlantic, back in the Pacific. We'll touch bases with Alvin and what's expected out of that tropical storm here later on in the newscast. I want to first start with our local weather because things have been fairly active. We've had day after day of at least some thunderstorms in the area, and sooner or later those are going to begin to spread closer to the coastline. We'll also be tracking a cold front that'll drop our humidity and our temperatures as we head into the weekend. So first things first, let's talk about what is outside right now. A live view here from Serrata Beach. We've got some towering clouds off in the distance, but nothing really here on the shore. Somebody enjoying a jet ski there, whizzing on by, and even a moment ago, a parasail was in the frame. Winds are fairly light right now at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Our 4-box live camera network out at Steinbrenner Field, the downtown Tampa skyline, and even our camera right there in the middle of the city, picking up a lot of blue skies. Behind Raymond James Stadium, it had looked like something out of the movies, a big explosive thunderstorm that was there yesterday around this time. That's not the case now, but I do think some more powerful storms will develop kind of in that same area, looking off to the east besides downtown Tampa. Sebring, Arcadia, Lake Placid, and Nocatee all picking up on some showers in the distance and even starting to develop overhead. I'm interested to keep an eye on that Arcadia camera because they have some showers in the general vicinity, and I do think that they could pick up some rain here shortly. So what are we looking at today? Well, a brand new drought index was just released, and I know folks are always interested to see the changes that have been made, the spots that have seen the rain, who's in, who's out of different levels of drought. So here's what we've got. That has been expanded, that level 4 out of 5 drought index that was encompassing a large chunk of Sarasota County now basically includes the entire county and has spread up into Manatee County, western sections of Hardee County, and western DeSoto County. Moderate drought encompassing areas inland, and severe drought expanding across Pinellas County. That includes St. Pete, Tampa, and Spring Hill right there on the borderline. The trends have remained the same. Most of the rain that we've needed has remained away from the coast, and that is subject to change moving into this weekend, but we're not going to see drought-busting totals out of this cold front. It's going to take a few more weeks before we finally ramp up those chances enough to really start to take a chunk out of these totals day by day. I'm going to adjust my microphone. Looks like it may have slid down my tie here. Sometimes those things happen, but hopefully you can hear me a little bit better than just a moment ago. Here's the rain that we've seen so far in downtown Tampa. We're actually running at a surplus for the month, but as you look at where we should be on average for the year, we're about 2.5 inches behind schedule. So I think that kind of fills in the gaps with the thinking. Even though we've seen some rain, we need a lot more rain, and 2 inches for the month, that's good, and we're at a surplus, but that's not going to cut it if we're trying to make up that deficit in a short period of time. The mandatory burn bans have been lifted for several of our interior counties. This has been over the past week and a half, and we've seen more and more of these lifted as that drought index has dropped in those locations. Meanwhile, no surprises that Manatee and Sarasota counties are each bright orange there and included within that map. I'm going to pop myself off the screen here to show you the before and after of the drought monitor. The latest update, keep in mind, does not include yesterday's rain. And as we're looking at 1 week ago versus currently, you see that spread to the north and west of the extreme drought into Manatee County. Small differences happen farther north, including the Nature Coast now being included within that severe drought that just wraps around much of central Florida, kind of looping around Polk County right into Sumter County. Citrus County only getting away with mainly just moderate drought at this time. Now, from one part of Florida to another, this is a live view from Ocala. I-75 at mile marker 349. I'm showing you this because there's a pretty powerful thunderstorm over the area here. These cars driving and really plowing through that rain there. Definitely some slick roads along this section of the interstate, and that's because they are within a severe thunderstorm warning. We have had one issued so far today, but it's been just outside of our general viewing area. I want to get you out to that shower. A closer look shows that it is actually just leaving Sumter in Citrus County. Folks, in Inverness, about 30 minutes ago, if you saw that rain, this is likely that storm that we were talking about. I'm going to see if I can get a closer view with our touch screen here. Sometimes it doesn't like to cooperate. There we go. Got my buttons up, zooming back in. Lots of cloud-to-ground lightning continuing up stretches of I-75. In fact, I think the camera we just looked into is right here, just north of Ocala Waterway. Marion Oaks as well. Zooming out to where this thunderstorm is, it is leaving our viewing area. So away from Hernando, away from Harrison and Inverness. It did dump a little bit of rainfall, which is good. Not a ton, but maybe a quarter of an inch or less in spots in northeastern Citrus County as it passed on by. The same for northern Sumter County, maybe even higher totals than that. Bushnell, you've got a shower developing right on top of you. And with the latest update, those little flashes of lightning that are occurring before this even looks very strong tells me that this is a powerful updraft that is taking root here. And I would not be shocked if Bushnell in the next 15 to 20 minutes or so, you get a big soaking. This is going to travel right up I-75 and following this same broken line of showers, I should say, down to Spring Lake. More steady rainfall developing there. Very hit or miss. At the moment, the coverage closer to just 10% of our viewing area. And the farther south you go, there's not a lot to see. Today's environment will favor mainly inland-focused storms later today. And at least this morning, we had a few spots that lucked out and saw some brief heavy downpours. That was spots like Venice, Englewood, and then eventually some heavier showers that we started the day with up in Pasco County. None of those were severe. Northern sections of Pinellas County also getting in on some of that heavy rain. When I came in the office this morning, Palm Harbor picked up about an inch of rainfall within 2 hours as that thunderstorm formed right on top of them north of Clearwater and then tracked north through Holiday and Port Richey next. So much needed beneficial rainfall there. Not a ton, but we will take what we can get. Here's the Storm Prediction Center's latest severe weather outlook for today. They have brought the marginal 1 out of 5 outlook down a little bit farther south, so that now includes Winter Haven, Spring Hill, Crystal River, and eastern sections of Polk County, cutting off before it gets to Highlands County. That's going to be the environment that's more favorable for thunderstorms, specifically with a chance for damaging straight-line winds and perhaps some hail. Medium to small hail is mainly expected, but severe hail not out of the question, and that's likely what they were warning that thunderstorm that was leaving Citrus County for as it entered closer to Ocala. Future radar showing with the Fox model, pop-up rain chances will become a little bit more robust over the next few hours. This is the latest. Anywhere within this broken line of thunderstorms, expect isolated showers and storms closer to 4 to 5 p.m. These are mainly centered over I-75 to begin with. And then look, most of that activity is going to slide a little bit deeper inland. All the way down through Highlands County, through Polk County, so Lakeland getting in on the action along with Winter Haven. And this is by 6 to 7 p.m. And then those thunderstorms continue, they recycle, we get more showers forming along the outflow boundaries of others, and then rain chances even spread back to the coastline as we move into tonight. I was talking to Paul Delgado as he walked in a moment ago. We do think that there's a good shot that spots along the coast will have a passing shower or maybe a very weak thunderstorm late tonight into the very early hours of tomorrow morning when most of you are sleeping. And then by tomorrow morning, closer to 7, 8 o'clock, another round of robust showers and storms have been consistently shown to be somewhere along the coast. Now, most of our forecast models are putting these a little bit farther north. That would be including spots like the Nature Coast, so Spring Hill, for instance, getting hit or miss showers in this particular scenario. The severe weather chance is not particularly high with this, but again, the focus of that rain moving into tomorrow morning, likely a little bit more into the coast before they stretch back inland into tomorrow afternoon. So let's talk about today's afternoon highs. We get to about 93 degrees here locally, and that's probably where we're hitting the brakes here for our afternoon high. 95 in Bartow, 93 in Sarasota. We have had a hot and humid afternoon, and the dew points have stayed right there in those mid-70s. That's, again, that sticky feeling you notice when you step outside that just makes it even harder to just go on simple tasks like going and walking your dog or going on a quick jog. I went on a jog the other day, and I went in the evening time right as the sun set, hopefully, chipping off or shaving a few degrees off that temperature forecast, and it was brutal. I probably sweat 3 times more than I normally do just on a typical jog down Bayshore, and unfortunately, that's how the forecast is looking for the next day or two before a cold front will drop our temperature slightly, but more importantly, it's going to drop our humidity. And I know that's what a lot of folks have been looking forward to because dew points are at the very top of the chart, oppressive, and our heat index right now is mainly in the triple digits for most folks across our area. Some spots getting lucky with nature's air conditioning, some of those showers cooling you off, but the good chunk of us feeling like 100 degrees or more as you step outside right now, and that just has everything to do with your body's inability to regulate its own heat in this humidity. Tampa Skycast brings our local temperatures down to 79 degrees tonight, passing isolated showers possible, higher chances along the coastline that the later we get tonight into the early hours of tomorrow morning, and then closer to sunrise, some more robust showers and perhaps even some weak thunderstorms will be back into the picture. Cooler temperatures inland, and the farther away from those warm Gulf waters you get, we're talking the low 70s inland, upper 70s, and even 80s for lows along the coastline before we heat it up again tomorrow afternoon. 90 for Tampa, 88 for Bradenton, 92 degrees in Lake Placid. That's going to be the hot spot on my big map for tomorrow. Most of those high temperatures will rumble through close to 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow. Before we get there, here's what future radar looks like. Those are the showers and storms along the coast by sunrise. Don't get too caught up in their exact positioning, but just note anywhere along the coast we could see a brief passing shower or two and perhaps even a thunderstorm to start the day. By lunchtime, those rain chances break apart a little bit more. We will stick with partly to mostly cloudy conditions depending on where you live, and those rain chances slide a little bit farther inland and again away from the coast. That similar pattern making a resurgence in the afternoon as to what we've seen over the past few days. East side of the state not spared from the thunderstorms. You're looking at Fort Pierce, Orchid, and Melbourne just getting slammed with more showers, and they've had their fair share of the rain the past few days. Certainly helped their drought. I wish that would come to our coastline a little bit sooner than later, but Saturday I think we're going to get our chance. I bumped up those rain odds to 60%, and that's specifically for downtown Tampa, 30% today, but again, that's along the coast. The deeper inland you go, those chances a little bit higher. Here's our next big rainmaker. It is coming in the form of a cold front, but I hesitate to even call it a cold front. Let's just call it a weak front. I mean, it's going to drop our temperatures maybe 3-4 degrees, but more importantly, it's going to drop our humidity, and it's going to bump up our rain chances as it passes on by and evenly spread the wealth of the rain rather than hoarding it inland into our interior counties. Surface maps showing the timing of this. I think Saturday morning is going to be your best shot to see some of the heavier showers along the leading edge of that line. And then the humidity drops out of that humid to tropical category Sunday into Monday, back into the more comfortable zone as we head into the start of next week. Now, lately, a lot of that rain has been positioned inland, and that's going to be the case tomorrow. But moving forward into Sunday, there's that even distribution I'm talking about. The Fox weather model very keen on bringing that even line down with the front. And then by Sunday evening, that cooler, drier air surges in. We drop those temperatures just a few degrees, but more importantly, drop the humidity and drop that cloud cover moving into Sunday afternoon. Rain chances will be hard to come by after that mark, but by Tuesday into Wednesday of next week, we'll be watching for more isolated shower chances. And that's a lot about your local forecast, but still, the big thing dominating the news cycle today was the first named storm of the Pacific hurricane season. That's Alvin right there, and boy, is it starting to look more and more like the tropical storm status it has now achieved. We'll take a look at the latest stats from Alvin, where it's headed next, and how the Atlantic season is going to pan out coming up. Welcome back. We go from our local forecast now to the tropics. And typically we talk about the Atlantic, but I think we first start with the Pacific. The big headline today being that Alvin has been named out there in the eastern Pacific. That means that the first A storm of their basin has been taken, not the Atlantic. We'll still have an A storm at some point in time, but this is still very interesting. Their season has started, and it started a little bit before ours. This is not unusual because the official start of the Eastern Pacific season is 10 days ago. So this falls right within that range, although it is a little bit ahead of schedule. They typically get their first named storm as early as June 10th. For us, it's June 20th in the Atlantic. The moment that this was designated, I immediately got so many texts on my phone. I got at least two, and one direct message saying, oh, look at this. Boy, the season's starting. It's happening. And I just have to reiterate, this is in the Pacific Basin. So regardless of whatever you see on social media, just note that the Atlantic is quiet right now and looks to be quiet for the near future. But this is specifically happening off the coast of Mexico. I flew there via satellite imagery to give you an idea of just how far away from our basin this is. This is now tracking west-northwest, and with the new update, we'll see if that direction remains solid. That direction it's traveling is now due northwest at 10 miles per hour as of the 11 a.m. advisory. Sustained winds are at 40 miles per hour, and just looking at Alvin and the satellite imagery presented here, it definitely looks a lot more impressive than what I saw when I came in earlier this morning. It's a little bit more symmetrical. There's a lot more thunderstorm activity there, firing closer to the system's center, and it's in a very favorable environment to strengthen to end today. As we head into the weekend, it will likely, almost very likely, fall apart. And this is a high confidence forecast, not just with its track, but that it will weaken because it goes from very warm waters with sea surface temperatures over 80 degrees, which is more than enough to typically support a hurricane, given the ideal environment. Well, this is going to be tracking due north as it takes that turn and regains that kind of northern component to its movement. And that's going to take it over waters that even dip into the upper 60s, to put this all in perspective. So Alvin will be missing out on a lot of fuel as we get into Saturday. And looking at that forecast cone like we saw a moment ago, it is expected after a quick strengthen into a tropical storm to then quickly weaken back to a post-tropical system by the end of the weekend, start of next week. And we're looking at the Fox weather model to simulate the wind field with this system. I've paused it here at 1 a.m. and I think this is about as strong as this is going to get. You clear as day can see that nice donut shape there with the winds as they get fairly strong, perhaps up to 60 miles per hour, which is basically what the Hurricane Center's forecast calls for. It could briefly exceed that mark, but either way, moving forward into Saturday morning here, very diffused, very weak, just a very strong area of low pressure at this point in time, likely a post-tropical low as we move into the Saturday evening hours. And then by Sunday, this is just going to bring gusty winds and increased rain chances to the region as it passes north, and maybe even into the desert southwest of the United States. It could be bumping up rain chances in that general region. So that's enough from the Pacific. We have yet to have our first named storm here in the Atlantic, and we are 3 days away from the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season. A lot of Saharan dust you can see from our satellite imagery there out there in the central and eastern Atlantic, and even in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean. Things are remaining silent. We are not expecting any additional formations in the Atlantic over the next 7 days, which is fantastic news. That means that we'll likely end out May without any new systems forming, and it'll be the 4th straight year in the row of that happening. May 22nd and May 16th, we saw our first named storms back in 2021 and 2020. That was ahead of schedule for even the start of the hurricane season, much less that typical start date for the first named storm we have in the Atlantic. That's a little bit closer to June 20th. So here's NOAA's season outlook. They are expecting an above normal probability of an active season. We have warm sea surface temperatures, but thankfully not quite as warm as what we saw last year. All of the forecasts you're generally seeing from respective sources are calling for a near or above normal season, not quite the extremely active season forecast that we saw a lot for last year. Additionally, an active African monsoonal season is expected, and that could spin out a few more tropical waves in the main development region very far away from the United States, but still, a storm's a storm, and that could contribute to more named storms than not this year. That's one of the things that was cited by NOAA and CSU with their forecast as well. Tropical activity typically peaks right around September 10th. We see the biggest ramp up in activity from August through October, the beginning of October, I should specify. End of November, the season ends, and typically in June, while we do occasionally get some named storms here and there, just note that they are typically on the weaker side. Beryl being the big exception last year, but that was very uncommon. For all the years we've taken statistics here on hurricane seasons, Beryl was the earliest Category 5 storm we have ever had in the Atlantic Basin. Typically, we have weaker storms, and typically they're a little bit closer to the United States to begin the season. But for now, nothing expected over the next 7 days. The list is on your screen. Some good names in there like Dexter, Ferdinand, Jerry, Karen. Some fun ones. Hopefully we don't get all the way to Tanya, Van, and Wendy. I'd be happy if we just get through the first few and call it quits. Well, looking at radar imagery, no breaks in the action. Folks in the Panhandle getting more rounds of showers and storms rumbling onshore off the Gulf and even closer to home. Some more thunderstorms are starting to sprout now over Sumter County. I'm going to zoom in here on radar for you. This is pushing into Bushnell. Webster getting some light rain as this is following I-75 northeast. Some lightning in these and could be strengthening. The Fox model thinks that these will continue to develop over the next few hours, and we'll take one last look at your local forecast after a quick break. Welcome back. We're looking live at Serrata Beach, and there is our parasailer. I love pointing this out. The weather conditions have to be perfect to do this, with light winds and ideal activity in terms of no thunderstorms overhead or nearby. We have a few isolated showers miles and miles away from this beach, and as we look at the current temperatures, boy, do we need that rain. Up to the north near Crystal River, Leesburg, they've had some rain passing through, so they're a little bit cooler, hence the orange coloring up there. But I want to give you a quick rundown with where those thunderstorms are right now. There are two batches that we're currently keeping an eye on. One that's leaving Hernando County and Citrus County. These are tracking to the north and east, but back building. So spots like Inverness, Floral City, and Istichata. Heads up, this is going to be near you. Bushnell, those thunderstorms have been on for the past 10 minutes for you, and more rounds are passing through. Plenty of lightning with those as well. Farther to the south, more rounds are also starting to form in southern Manatee County. This is over Edgeville and Mayaca City, tracking due north. I think more and more of these rain chances are what we can expect to round out today. As you see there in Florida, that marginal severe weather threat is mainly focused just north of Tampa in our interior counties and up along the Nature Coast. Enhanced risk there for Texas. Another active day of weather expected for them. They could see some stronger storms, especially into this evening after the abnormally warm temperatures they've been receiving, as even tomorrow, more storm chances are possible for them. Our focus will be on a cold front that's going to be sliding through Saturday into Sunday. It's going to bump up our rain chances quite a bit. Cool us off a pinch. I hesitate to get excited enough to call this a cold front, but technically it is. It'll be dropping our humidity, and that's going to be very important. It'll steal away some of that cloud cover and make way for a beautiful start to next week's forecast. Well, I'll see you again tomorrow. This will conclude today's edition of SkyTower Weather Now. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you tomorrow at 3.